All right, we're going to give a few minutes, let everyone get logged in. Good afternoon, Melissa. How you doing today?
I am wonderful. How could you not be wonderful? The sun is shining. It's a beautiful day, I think, across all of our areas. And we are all essential. We're all selling houses and working on getting those listings.
Well, and what I hear just about everywhere is that the market is strong. I just got an email literally 1 minute ago. Property came on the market Saturday. My buyer couldn't see it over the weekend. We set up a showing for tomorrow. I just get the email, canceled my showing because it is pending, right? And I saw another thing posted in a local agent chat in our area, and it said that a property went on the market, and there was, and I'd never heard of this, 51 offers. 51, not 15, 51 offers. I'm like, that means there's 50 more buyers that don't have a house.
Oh, 50 heartbroken buyers today. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
So we definitely know there's a need for listings. And so today we're going to be talking about motivation. We're going to be talking about how to get listings, how to be motivated to get listings. So hopefully I feel that today's content will be very applicable for that. So don't forget to download your worksheet that should have come to you in the email this morning from Howard Hanna Education. Download that so you can follow along. You can write some things in. We'll give about 1 more minute. Melissa, anything else you want to talk about in the market in your area while we're just stalling for people to come in?
Well, as Christian is talking about listings, I will be taking some notes. I will be handling the chat, answering some of your questions or getting them ready for the end. So please put anything in the chat or the Q&A. If you have any questions, I will be monitoring that. And yes, we're going to be really focusing on rolling up our sleeves and getting to work here with these listings, because we know that if you get the listing, it is going to sell, and probably in multiples. So it's an exciting challenge to have. So, I look forward to hearing some of Christian's tips, and I look forward to hearing some of your success stories again for maybe putting some of these tips into action. So like I look at everything, if you have put in one thing into action that you've learned from every meeting or every seminar, it's unbelievable what you could do with your business. So as you're going through, think to yourself, what is the one thing I'm going to implement today or this week?
That's right. And Melissa and I were talking before we started. We're going to work really hard on keeping the Motivational Mondays to less than 30 minutes. So we're going to make sure we can give you the content, leave a couple minutes at the end, and get you out of here in half an hour. I know everyone is super busy, and we want to make sure that we're valuing your time by giving you some content, motivating you, giving you some good education, and getting you back out there. So let me bring you back to 2011. So I got involved in real estate in 2003. That's when I started. And I was an appraiser for 5 years full-time. Then in 2008, I went and got my real estate license because I figured, why not? And then, of course, a month later, what happens? The market just tanks, right? And so I start going into real estate. I'm doing both, but I really like the sales part better. And so I start really focusing on that. After about 2 years, I hit this thing called the dip. Remember the dip that Melissa talked about a couple weeks ago? I was just like, man, I am working way too hard, and I just don't think I'm getting the return that I want. And I was honestly considering the book right there that Melissa's got. I was honestly considering getting out of the business, right? But then I took some training by Brian Buffini, which I'm going to talk about a little bit of that in the end. I'm a big Brian guy. And Brian taught me a system, how to work. And he didn't talk about some of the stuff I'm going to talk about today. But what happened was I learned that there's 3 questions that everyone asks before they hire you. Whether you're looking to get listings or whether you're looking to get buyers, there's always these 3 questions that get asked. And we constantly need to be remembering this so that way we're working towards answering those questions. Because if you don't know what people want to be answered, then you don't know what to answer. And so when I started recognizing that these questions were there, it really started making me say, okay, now I know how to get more business. So let me share my screen here with you. Give me 1 second. Sorry. Share screen. So let me start with these questions, right? So here are the 3 questions, right? Oh my goodness, what's happening? Are you seeing all that?
Yes.
Where's that? I hit the share button on accident. I hit the wrong button. Okay, so the 3 questions are this. You ready? Fill these out in your worksheet because I want you to have these memorized. These are the 3 questions that everyone asks. Number 1, can I trust you? Can I trust you? Buyers, sellers, they're asking themselves this about you. Can I trust you? If the answer is no, guess what? They're not going to use you as the listing agent. They're not going to use you as the buyer's agent. Question number 2, do you care about me? Am I a priority to you, right? Do you care about me? Do you care about yourself or do you care about me? Question number 3, are you competent? And I've also heard this one used as, do you know what you're doing, right? So if anyone answers no to any of these 3, guess what? They're not hiring you. If they say, I don't trust this guy or girl, you're not hired. You know what? I don't think this person cares about me. All they care about is the commission paycheck. Well, then I don't think they're going to hire you. You know what? I think this realtor is an idiot. I don't think they know what they're doing. They're not competent. It has to be yes, yes, and yes. We have to answer all 3 of these questions. Now, let me be clear. I don't think buyers and sellers actually know that they're asking these questions, but they are. In reality, you ask them before you go hire some people as well. Think about you're hiring a contractor to redo a bathroom in your house. Can I trust the contractor? Does this contractor care about what I want? And does this contractor know what they're doing? And if the answer is no on any of them, you're not hiring that contractor. And you can just apply this with every type of business decision that you make. Can I trust you? Do you care about me? Do you know what you're doing? Now, we can be intentional in answering these questions. So I want us to go through how we can be intentional and answer these questions. So let's first talk about the can I trust you question. Can I trust you question? 3 things. They're super easy. Ready? Number 1, return phone calls. I know it seems like obvious, right? But I can't even just start to tell you how many times I've heard people go, I'm actually showing a property this week to a guy who's referred to me, and he goes, yeah, I've contacted 2 realtors. They don't call me back. I mean, just call people back. It's a pretty simple concept. And what that does, if people can count on you, they can trust you because you're going to call them back. Number 2, stay on top of things. Kind of goes along with number 3 is like, do what you say you're going to do. You know, you're out showing the property. Someone asks a question and you don't have the answer. What do you say? You know what? I don't have the answer, but I'm going to find out for you. And then a couple hours later, the next day, as quick as you can, you get the answer and you give it back to them. It starts this level of trust. You're on top of things. You're doing what you said you were going to do. You're returning calls. You're being proactive, right? Be proactive. I didn't put that on the sheet, but that's a huge one. You need to proactively be communicating with this person. Good communication leads to trust. Good communication leads to trust. Now, I know in today's day and age, this next one that I'm going to give you is a little hard to do, but I truly believe that a good handshake can lead to a good trust relationship. I actually took this entire class. I think it was at Realtor Day at our local realtor board of realtors a couple years ago. They had this guy come in and do a whole class on handshaking. I think that guy might be out of a job for a little while, right? But he talked about how there's this little part in between your hand right there. And when you go in for a handshake, you want to make sure the part connects between you and the other person. You want to look him in the eyes. And he did all these tactics. And you can also do the one where you shake him on the hand and you pat him on the shoulder. And I started doing these things and I recognized that it really, really worked. Now, once again, we may have to find out how to do a better fist bump or a better, I don't know about you, but I'm having to learn some new dialogues as I meet with people, right? Because we go in and I'm like, hey, so we're doing the fist bump, right? Like you're meeting someone for the first time and you're doing a fist bump. It feels a little weird, but we have to learn how to present ourselves appropriately, right? How we dress, what we drive, all these things lead to trust. All these things lead to trust. Okay, let's go to number 2. Number 2, do you care about me? At the end of the day, everyone really cares about themselves, so they want to know that you care about them as well. So what are some things we can do that lead us to let people know that we care about them? Now, before I give them to you, there's another way you can ask the same question. Do you care about me? Is also asked, are you a good person? It's kind of the same question. If someone's a good person, then they care about me. And another way to answer whether or not someone's a good person is to say, do I like you? If I like someone, I think they're a good person. If I think they're a good person, I think they care about me. Did you follow the logic there? Because this all happens so automatic and we don't even realize we're asking ourselves this question. Does this car salesman care about me? Well, here's what happens. You ready? Who is the person that we all like the most in the world? Be honest. Who is it, right? We kind of like ourselves. If everyone drove like me in the roundabout, it would go so much better. Like, I'm the guy, when I come to the four-way stop sign and someone waves me on, but they got there first, I'm offended. I'm like, no, you got here first. You're supposed to go first. Don't wave me on. If only everyone drove like me, the world would be perfect. And of course, you think the same thing as well. If only I drove like you. But when you ask someone cares about you, you got to find those common interests. Find common interests. When I'm going into the home for the first time, you know where I want to start? The garage and the basement. Because I can tell you a lot about people when I'm in their garage and their basement. If I'm in their garage and I see the kids got some hockey sticks, well, my kids play hockey, so I'm going to start talking about that because we've got some common interests, right? Maybe I'm going to see some things, I can ask some questions about them, right? I can see some hiking gear. I say, oh, you're a hiker? Where do you hike? Because I'm a big hiker, right? Or maybe they drive the same car as me, or they're into some of the same hobbies or whatever. You just ask questions, look for things, and start finding out where do we have common interests. And then this is a big one, remember specific things about the people. And then the next time, if you remember their dog's name, oh my goodness, you have arrived, right? When you show up to the house and you go, oh, is Winnie here, or whatever your neighbor's dog, you're like, I remember all my neighbor's dog's name. And when I show up and I love dogs and they know that I know their dog's name, like, I suddenly am the better neighbor because I remembered their pet's name. Like, I can forget some of their kids' names and that may be okay, but if I remember their dog's name, it's all good, right? But remember some specific things about your people. It shows that you care about who they are. And just so you know, I don't want you to fake this, okay? I don't want you to fake that you're interested in what they're interested in. I want you to be authentic. Now, here's what happens. When you find common interests, it's actually really easy to be genuinely excited about what they're excited about. Maybe we're different on 99% of things, but I can find that one thing that this person and I have in common. I can now genuinely be interested in what they're interested in because I found that common interest. I found that common interest. That's number 2. Do you care about me? Number 3, are you competent? Do you know what you're doing? Now, we all know the phrase when you first get into the business, right? Fake it till you make it, right? You kind of have to figure it out. And there are some times where you definitely don't know the answer. I always tell my agents, the best thing you can do is you can tell someone, you know what? I don't know, but I'm going to find out. I don't know, but I'm going to ask my broker. I'm not sure on that. Let me get the right answer and get back to you. So sometimes the best way to show you're competent is admitting when you don't know. But there are certain things you do need to know, right? If someone said, what kind of heating system is it? And you're looking at it and you don't know if it's forced warm air or hot water baseboard, you might want to figure that one out, right? So how can we show that we're competent? No, oh, what happened there? All right, number 1, share your knowledge. We have so much knowledge about the real estate market, and sometimes we kind of like hide it. We don't want to hide our knowledge about the real estate market. Right now, multiple offers come in. You shouldn't be just saying, what do you want to do? You should be going to your seller, your client, and you should say, here's your options. Here's what I think you should do. Here's some pros and some cons of each, okay? We always say, I provide, you decide. I provide, you decide. Give them knowledge. Show them that you have been through this before. And here's the cool thing. If you haven't been through this before, call your manager, talk to some other people, get that knowledge, and then you go to them and you are the expert, okay? Number 2, talk about the market. I say this all the time. We need to be talking about the market all the time, especially right now. How many people in the last couple of weeks, you've told them there's a listing shortage, and what do they respond with? Really? There is? I thought the real estate market would have been in real rough shape because of this. Nope, just the opposite. We need listings. Really? Christian, now that you're saying that, I'm thinking about selling. Bam, now you got a listing, right? Talk about the market. And the last one is get educated. Now, I realize I'm preaching to the choir here because you're on Motivational Mondays, right? You're getting a little bit of education, but obviously there's a lot of opportunities to be educated here, right? Go buy some books, go take some more classes in hand of you, go to the office meetings that you have. Right now it's on Zoom still. Once we're back in the offices, show up at those classes, right? Go to the seminars, HanaCon, it's only a year and a half away. Hopefully by then COVID's gone, we can have HanaCon again, right? But go get educated. Read, listen, watch, and learn. Okay, now, that's the first half. Now I want to talk about how to use those 3 questions. So we've talked about, are you, excuse me, can I trust you? Do you care about me? And are you competent? Those are the 3 questions that people are asking before they work with you. Now, if you meet someone for the first time, you've never met them before, right? You have a fairly high mountain to climb to answer those 3 questions. So I meet Melissa for the first time, never met her before. She wasn't referred to me. Excuse me one second. She wasn't referred to me. I've got a fairly big mountain to climb to answer those 3 questions. I quickly have to get her to trust me. I have to get her to think I care about her and get her to like me. And I got to get her to know that I know what I'm doing. That is a big, big, big mountain to climb. But here's the good news. There is a group of people that already have answered these 3 questions about you, and they've said yes to all 3 of them, okay? I'm talking about your COI, your center of influence. Now, I know that some people might call it an SOI, which is a sphere of influence, okay? Some people call it the database, like the database. It's like the database, it's like this big thing, right? It's your list of relationships, your COI. These are your friends, your family. These are the people. So if you said to yourself, well, how do I know if they're in my COI? Here's the answer. Do they trust you? Do they know that you care about them? And do they think that you know what you're doing? Do they think that you're a competent person? If the answer to that is all 3 of them are yes, they're in your COI. Now, if their husband or best friend is a realtor, don't put them in your database because they're not using you, right? But if they are people who have already answered those 3 questions, that is your COI. That is the most fertile ground for you to be working for leads. You want to go get listings? 80% of your listings, I've tracked this for many years, about 80% of your listings come from your COI. Not necessarily them specifically, but they refer you. Because here's what I've had happen, right? I get a phone call. Hey, Christian, my name is Tim. You were referred to me by Jeff. Now, I've never met Tim. I don't know Tim if I passed him on the street. But he calls me up and he says, Jeff told me to call you. I've got a house I want to sell. He told me that you're the man. He said that you're the best. Can you help me out? So now Tim, just because Jeff told him, Tim trusts me, knows that I care about him, and he knows that I'm competent. And I didn't have to do any of the work. I just did it with Jeff. And if you've got 200 people in your COI, that's 200 people that every day they go to work to their coworkers. Every week they go to church. Now the churches are open back up. Every week they're going to the soccer games. Every week they're going out on the lake. They're hanging out with their group of people. And you got 200 cheerleaders or 100 cheerleaders or 300 cheerleaders or whatever the number is. But those people in your COI, you don't have to answer those questions because they already know that about you. So let's talk about how do we work our COI? So I like putting up this graphic, and I've stolen a little bit of this from Brian Buffini, but I've kind of put my own little take on it as well, okay? So I want to give credit where credit is due. A lot of this content I didn't come up with, but I've embraced it over the years. I've taught it to my agents, and I'm telling you, it works. It is a recipe, and it works so well. So that bubble represents your COI. That's the 100 people, the 200 people, the 300 people. The bigger, the better to a certain degree. Although I will say, we don't just want quantity, we want quality. I'd rather you have 100 really good people in there than 400 kind of relationships, right? We want solid relationships. So there's 5 different activities that we can do, that we should do to help us generate leads from our COI. So the first is our mail. And I break this into 2 different categories. Snail mail. Now, if you don't know what the word snail mail is, that's when you use a stamp. Okay, all you boomers out there, that's when you use a stamp. That's called snail mail, all right? And then we got our email. And of course, email, I think the best form of email right now is Real Scout. Setting up every single person in your database, set them up for alerts in Real Scout. Kind of like, or you put them in the neighborhood news, which is a great thing within Real Scout. But your database should be getting regular pieces of snail mail and regular emails. Now, when I say snail mail, maybe 6 times a year. 6 times a year, you should have some mailing going out to your entire database. Maybe it's a Christmas or Hanukkah or New Year's card, all right? Maybe it's a birthday card to them. And then for my agents, we do a quarterly newsletter. where we tell people what's going on in the market. I love the quarterly newsletter. Now, when someone gets the piece of snail mail or when they get the email, they don't go like this. They don't go, oh my goodness, Melissa, she thought of me and sent me this letter just to me. They know that's not true. They know that you sent 100 of them or 1,000 of them or whatever the number is. But here's the benefit of doing snail mail and email. It's easy. It's very scalable. You can send out 300-400 of these every other month, and it isn't a ton of work, and it isn't a ton of money. In fact, Real Scout is free, just your time. So the first one is mail. Now, the second one is personal notes. Now, personal notes is very different than the mail, and here's why. When you get a personal note, just the opposite happens. If I send a personal note to Melissa, she's going to get it, open it up, and she's going to go, oh my goodness, Christian was so thoughtful. He thought of me and sent me this handwritten note, right? Now, how many of you have gotten a handwritten note and not opened it and thrown it in the garbage? Zero. How many of you, when you get a handwritten note, open it up, read it, and think to yourself, wow, that was special? And usually when you read it, you know what you say to yourself? You know what? I need to do more of those. I just put a handwritten note on the desk of someone in my office because he did me a favor this weekend. So I went out and I got a little gift card over at the local ice cream shop, and I put it in the card and signed it and I put it on the desk. The next time that person comes in, they're going to get that, right? It's a personal note. Hey, thanks for sending that referral. So let's go back to that Tim and Jeff. So Jeff referred me Tim. As soon as Tim refers me, what am I doing that minute? I'm sitting down and writing a personal note to Jeff. Hey, Jeff, thanks so much for sending me Tim. Really appreciate you referring me Christian. That's it. I don't have to give him a gift yet. Maybe I do at some point, right? Maybe at the end of the year, you give him some type of Christmas gift or end of the year gift. But personal notes, they work so well. And I like to do at least 1 or 2 of them a day. Some days I do 5, some days I do 0, but we should be doing a personal note every single day. Next is the in-person or the pop-by. You know, Buffini calls it the pop-by when you bring a gift. I just like to be in person with people. Now, the personal note in the mail is great because you can do it from your desk. You can do it sitting in the office. In person, and I think the last couple months have taught us this, how many of you have missed just seeing people, right? Our church did an outside service this Sunday. So we haven't had church in over 2 months, and New York just allowed us to open up to 25% capacity, but we still decided to go outside. So we had 130 people that met in a field, and we parked cars, and we all stayed in our groups and brought our chairs. And it was great, even from 6 feet away, just to see people. You know, why are we doing this on Zoom, and why not just me do a call in? Because the fact that you can see me, I can give a little bit more to you in terms of my facial expressions and whatnot. We need to connect in person with our people. Stop by your client's house. Hey, I was in the neighborhood. How you doing? Like, you hopefully have a good enough relationship with your people that when you stop by, they're not like, oh crap, Christian stopped by. This weekend, I'm out on the lake. And I bought a new boat this year, and I saw this other new ski boat on the lake. And I thought it was one of my old clients, and I hadn't really seen it in a long time. I sold my house 10 years ago. So I pulled up along their boat, and I said, hey, I don't know if you remember me. And they said, oh, of course we remember you, Christian, yada, 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 yada. And then what's the next thing they said? I said to them, I said, hey, your house looks great. I see the addition you put on. And the next thing she said was this. She goes, hey, Christian, you got to stop by and come see the house. Now, if I don't stop by and see the house, then I obviously don't care about what they did to that house. It's literally, I drive by it on the way from my house to this office. So one of these weekends, what am I going to do when I see they're outside? I'm going to swing in and I'm going to say, show me the addition. It was one of these A-frames where they took it off and they went real big on it, gorgeous lake house. So stop by. These aren't people that when you stop by, they're mad that you're there. They're happy to show you. In fact, you know what they're going to do when you're there? You know what they're going to say? Hey, Christian, what do you think the house is worth? Right? So tell them, come with a couple cops, have them ready, right? Or say, hey, let me get you some more info. I'll let you know. Next is the dreaded phone call. Oh my goodness, yes. We got to pick up this thing and make a phone call, right? Now, here's where the phone call is different than the in-person. A phone call is very scalable, all right? In-person is kind of tough. In person, you got to catch them when they're home. If you do like, you know, a couple in-persons a day, that's a lot. But you could make 20, 30 phone calls a day if you had to. Rainy day, winter time. And right now, the phone call is a great option too because some people may not be comfortable if you're stopping by their house. And then the last one, social media, obviously is a huge one right now. And I implement what's called the 75-25 rule. 75% of my content needs to not be about real estate. Okay, do not get involved in the local or in the current political debates. Just stay out of it, right? 75-25 rule. 75, just have it about family and just positive, and then 25% slip in some real estate. So after this, I'm going to go over to one of my new listings and I'm going to shoot a little Facebook video and post that up to Facebook, right? I'm going to every once in a while post a stat out there. Congratulations, here's a sold, here's a sale pending, right? And then once again, share stuff with your pets and your kids. Now, here's what I want to make sure that you know. This is not a buffet. This is not the COI buffet. You cannot just do one or two. You can't just go, I like the mail and I like the phone call, but the in-person stuff I don't really like. Personal notes, my handwriting is horrible. Trust me, mine's worse, okay? Social media, I don't really like social media. The government's gonna track me, so I don't do that thing, right? This is not a buffet. This is a recipe. All 5 of these hit different cylinders. And I'm telling you, when you do all 5 of these, it creates a beautiful dish of listings and buyers coming your way. Because remember, all these people, they trust you, they know that you care about them, and they know that you know what you're doing. Let me leave you with a story about how you don't want to leave out one of these ingredients. My mom makes this dish every Thanksgiving called baked pineapple. And it's pineapple and bread and sugar and eggs and all baked into this thing. And every Thanksgiving she makes it, and we love it, right? So one Thanksgiving we're eating it, and my brother-in-law kind of looks up and she goes, "Hey, Mom, I don't taste a lot of pineapple in the baked pineapple this year." And my mom just goes, "Oh no, I forgot the pineapple." So the joke was, are we having baked pineapple or are we having just baked? Because without the pineapple, it's just bread, sugar, and eggs, right? Well, the COI recipe is like baked pineapple. If you leave out one of these, it's just not going to work the way it needs to. So if you really want more listings, if you want more buyers, and by the way, when you do this, you're going to work with people that you like to work with. You're not going to be stuck working with all the jackwagons out there that don't value your time. You're going to work with people that value your time. These are the people that buy you a closing gift. How many times have you had someone buy you a closing gift? I've seen it happen. I've had it happen to me when people buy me a closing gift. I go, hey, isn't this supposed to be the other way around? This works. I want to encourage you to do it. So just remember, we have those 3 questions. Can I trust you? Do you care about me? Do you know what you're doing? You need to answer those questions every single day when you're working with people. And remember, your COI and the people that they refer you to, they already do all 3 of them. Focus your business on that. Be intentional with those 5 actions: the mail, the phone calls, the in-person, the social media, and the personal note cards. Do them regularly. All right, I promised to have you in half an hour. It's 1:27, so I'm leaving 3 minutes for some questions. I see there's one there, one comment. What do we got?
It was to everybody, just thanking them for joining and seeing if they had any other questions. But there was a couple of things that I wanted to reinforce, because you had some great points there, Christian, and it's really going to help with getting listings, for building those relationships. But now more than ever, especially with what we have been through in the last couple of months, people want to work with people they know and love and trust and that are competent. Like everything that you're saying, people aren't as apt to work with people from just online leads or whatever, because they want to make sure, because there's a little time of uncertainty and they don't know what the market's like. And they want to work with somebody who was referred to them or somebody that they know have had that experience. So everything that Christian is saying right now is more important than ever before. And the other thing that I love is all of these 3 questions you can help build with all of the different things that he just had, around the circle with your snail mail and your personal notes and your phone calls and your social media. As I'm talking to people throughout the week and we look at a fact, okay, maybe how showings have went up or how things are selling or what the interest rates are. Those are some of the types of things to put on your social media, because they are talking points that shows your competence. You start demonstrating that, because I know we have some newer agents who are on here. And those are the types of things that help. So it's a matter of always knowing a couple of different facts, what's happening in the market, look at what the activity is this week over last week or this month over last month, and have success stories to tell, because Christian's always big, as you know, with these stories, because that helps convey what's happening. So think about a story of a multiple offer. Think about a story how the seller got more money than they thought they would for the house. when they weren't going to put it on the market right now and they were going to wait. So if you have a story, whether it's yours or somebody from your office, it can go a long way. But I think that the tips that are on here, and I took lots of notes, are invaluable, and it's more important than ever. And it's one of those things that's simple to do, but we have to be very conscientious of it as we're doing it.
Well, and you know, not only is it simple to do, but every time I sit down with an agent, I really have to remind them and remind myself, this business is honestly really, really simple. It's just not easy. Doing all this stuff, that's work. It's not easy. You make 10 phone calls. At the end of those 10 phone calls, you're popping a Rico, a lozenge down your throat, right? It's a lot of work to do these different things. It's simple, but it's not easy. But I know for a fact, I've seen it with my own career, I've seen it with all the agents I work with, when you do these things, when you invest in these relationships, you're answering those 3 questions. But don't forget those 3 questions, because a lot of our business is picking up that call-in lead on your listing. Remember, the listing you got from your COI, you're then going to get leads from that, and you're going to convert those leads. And those leads, you still need to then say, okay, I got to get these people to trust me, know that I care about them, and show them that I know what I'm doing, that I'm confident. So always remember those 3 questions. Can I trust you? Do you know what you're doing? And are you competent?
Excellent.
Hope that was helpful. We will see all of you next Monday at 1 o'clock. Always appreciate your feedback. Send an email to Melissa and I. We love hearing from you.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks so much. Have a great Monday.
Bye-bye. Have a great day. Great week.